Hello and welcome to another Sunday live stream. I'm going to give people a few minutes to trickle in and then we'll get things started. I'm doing some final setup for parts of the demo, so I will be back with you momentarily. All right, I'm sure some people are going to trickle in, but in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and make some final changes here. We're going to do an install of Zentyal Community or Zentyal Development. They've flip-flopped between the two names before. And let's see. And so we're going to do an install of that, and then we're going to see about joining a Windows VM to the domain created by Zentyal server. So, excuse me. Let's go ahead and kick off the install. Let me share my screen. And we'll get the fun started. So what you should be seeing on your screen is VirtualBox, which I've got running on my Dell Optiplex over to the left of me. This is just a little quad-core i5 6th generation, but I bumped the RAM up to 24 gigabytes, which gives me plenty of room to run a couple of at least 4 gig virtual machines and get everything going there. They may not be the fastest thing, but with the extra RAM headroom, I find that they do operate a little bit better, and so that's kind of the way I'm going with this. So we'll go ahead and get this install kicked off and see what we can do here. Okay, so I'm going to try to put this into full screen mode, and maybe it'll help the cause or not. So you will have to do scaled as well. So yes. Kick off the installer, and so this is of course based on Ubuntu, and so it's going to look much like the install of Ubuntu server with this ncurses text-based installer. So we will let this go and do its thing and see what we can make happen here. So I'm just checking to see on my phone if everything is live and operating properly while this is doing its thing. So hopefully everybody is out there and having a good Sunday. And, you know, I sometimes wonder if I should start these at 11:30 in the morning, give everybody an extra half hour before they have to be here. So it looks like that is broadcasting fine. I can see it on my phone. And so we're going to call the host name. What do we want to call it? Zentyal7master.local. Okay. America, New York is my correct time zone. So, you know, one nice thing about Zentyal server is that since it is based on Ubuntu, and it does actually have an Ubuntu desktop, I think it's LXDE or one of the lighter weight desktop environments. But regardless, one of the nice things about it is that you can go ahead and install the VirtualBox guest editions. You can install things like Splashtop for remote access, or you could install the one of the open source RDP servers. So if you or your company or work environment are standardized on the RDP tools that are provided on both Windows and Mac OS by Microsoft, and there are several RDP clients available on Linux-based systems, you have multiple options for connecting to the server. So that is nice to know, and just a good thing overall. So options are good. You know, it's always good to have options. Don't want to be backed into a corner. Don't want to have all your eggs in one basket. That's why I like showing open source products on this channel, because, you know, you may come to a position or a company where your budget's cut and you can no longer move forward as you had once planned to. And having some visibility, some knowledge of these alternatives is it's one of those things that can be empowering, and you know, it can mean the difference between a sink or swim on a project. So it looks like I've got 2 people watching out there. Hello. Feel free to join the chat. The chat is magically working again now. I don't know if it was the comment I sent out after the Thursday night chat to StreamYard, and whether it was a StreamYard problem or a YouTube problem, but I was not previously able to type in comments through the StreamYard interface and have them actually go out to YouTube. And I have verified that that is working today. So my fingers are crossed that it continues to work. And hopefully things will be all right. So we're just waiting on the Zentyal install to complete, and then we can move on with our discussion and demo, and maybe people will have some questions at some point that I may or may not be able to answer, but I will give it, as they say, I will give it the college try. All right, so force it to boot from the hard drive. And it's installing the core packages, so that's a good place to be, I guess. Make that a little larger for people. I'm currently stuck using scaled mode for this. Yeah. So maybe I can do this full screen as well. That actually makes it a little worse, but we'll work with it. We will work with it. Hey, we're up to 3 people watching. Hello, welcome. Feel free to join the chat. And chat is still working, so we will see what we can do with this. All right, so hopefully everybody is staying safe out there. Hopefully everybody is working towards their vaccination. I've got my first one already. Second one is coming up on June 2nd. And hopefully I will be feeling all right after a couple of days into that. It sounds like a lot of people have cold-like symptoms after the second shot, and so I'm glad I scheduled it the way I did and worked it around my work schedule so that I've got a work at home day the following day, and that should be wonderful. So if anybody has questions out there, please feel free to drop them in the chat. As always, I ask if you are getting something out of this video, please like and subscribe. Click the bell icon for notifications. It does trigger the YouTube algorithm and lets YouTube know that you like what you see and you want to see more of it. And it gives me some indication some better indication of whether I should continue making videos like the ones like this particular one. So, okay, so we're going to take this out of full screen mode so I can actually read this, because my eyes are not as young as they used to be. And good morning, Carlos. This is little challenging here. So, okay, that's better as a temporary fix. Advanced, accept risk. Got it. So you log in with the credentials that you set up during the initial install. And it's giving you an idea of what you can expect from the next steps in the install process. So we'll go ahead and continue through this. So we're going to do domain controller and file sharing, DNS, DHCP, firewall, certificate authority, antivirus. That seems like a good selection. It's enough to do Samba Active Directory and a little more. So we'll get through this installer. Once we're through the installer and we've rebooted it and everything is shown to be working, I will get VirtualBox Guest Editions installed. This is just a verification screen here. Thank you for choosing Zentyal server. Maybe I can make this actually just slightly smaller. Okay, so that's doing its thing, copying stuff. Let's see. We want preferences, monitor settings. That's half the problem right there. Let's try 1440 by 900. And apply that. And make sure it's saved. And then if we take this out of, we have it in scaled mode. Yeah, had it in scale mode. If we go back to full screen mode, does that make things better? No, not really. We will get there. We will get there. Just gotta love the hiccups. Gotta love the hiccups, especially in a live demo. Okay, configure interface types. External interfaces connect to networks that are not under your control. So this is actually connecting to my internal network. So we're going to say internal. And DHCP for that. This is a standalone server. Zentyal-domain.lan. Finish. Invalid value for host name. Zentyal server master. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15. That's 18 characters. Finish. Skip. Okay, so we might have to come back and fiddle with some things, but that's all right. So anything exciting happening in your world tech-wise this week, Carlos? I don't have any major horror stories to share this week, but did have the opportunity to work with a lady and get some passwords reset, some Gmail passwords and her Apple ID password, and get a Google Nest Mini setup. Okay, so we need to change the host name. That's the first thing we need to do. So in general, we're going to change the Zentyal 1. Host name change will create a new certificate, blah, blah, blah. Fine. Save changes. Module, domain controller, and file sharing. Save. Okay. So no harm, no foul. This is just something you had to work through. Okay, domain. System configuration backup. So this is actually my first time going through this on Zentyal 7. Everything seems to be pretty much the same. So let's see. Our cloud contact center product had an issue this week where the disks reached 100% capacity and new voicemails and recorded calls were not being saved. Oh, that's wonderful. Okay. So investigating the problem. Didn't we have monitoring the data center that would tell us when disks reach 100% or almost full capacity? Yeah, those would be good things to have. So I did have the problem on Thursday with the phone system going down. So I was working at home and library opens at 10 o'clock in the morning. We lost phone and internet around, well, just around noon. And so over the course of the afternoon, I received probably 5 calls from my boss. So had her call the internet provider that does our phones as well, report the issue. They didn't get a truck and a tech on site until almost 5 p.m. And the interesting part of it, and the technician did not admit this to my boss, and I question whether or not it's because my boss is female, which, yeah, that's a whole nother conversation. But I talked to another person during the day on Thursday, and her boyfriend worked at another company locally that had an internet outage as well and had the same internet provider that we have at the library. And so the technician that rolled out for that fix told my contact's boyfriend that the company had been hacked. And so apparently there were like 65 sites in the state that were out, and they had to roll trucks and go fix individually, apparently. So I will be making it a point in the coming weeks to find out why our internet connection is reliant on the city building, and somehow the two switches are connected, whether that's for redundancy or whether it's for some other crazy reason. I'm not entirely sure. But you know, the canned answer from the city people is, "Oh, we're working fine. You know, the problem can't be with us." And yeah, collectively they're idiots. So I know people that work for a municipality being idiots. Big surprise, right? Okay, so let's see. If we can't make this a little better. And there we go. Start guest editions. Hopefully that'll pop in. So yeah. All right. Well, I'd be happier if this would cooperate and give me access to the optical, but we can work through this without it. So we'll just go back to scaled mode, and we will just go without this, without that being set up the way I would really like. But I'm going to shut this down temporarily. And good morning, Chris. So I've done videos before on Zentyal, and you know, I haven't got around to doing one for version 7 yet. So I thought, you know, I needed a topic for today, and it's like, let's do this. This is what I'm pretty comfortable with and could probably do live without too many hiccups. And so far, so good, I guess. Maybe. Okay, so apparently we're going to kill this. All right. So before I go any further, I just want to get another snapshot. Just to save my behind if it decides to really go off the rails. Okay, so just for the sake of argument, I also do have a Windows VM running. This is the Windows 10 Microsoft Edge testing VM that Microsoft makes available. You download it and you can run a fully operational Windows 10 for 90 days. They mean to have this used for testing websites with Microsoft Edge. I'm not sure that they are still updating this because it was a pretty old version of Windows when I got it. So just for the sake of argument, we are currently on 1809, which is no longer even supported. So whether or not it's going to let us join it to the domain, I'm not entirely sure. So this should be an interesting little experiment on multiple fronts. Let's go ahead and power our Zentyal server back up. Yeah, doing IT in a library is not bad. You know, it's most of the job is just keeping things up and running. You know, we've got public machines, and only half of our public machines are out currently because of COVID. And so it's just, you know, keeping up with updates, and we've got a couple pieces of software that make this a little more difficult. Our PCs have both, our public PCs for patrons have both Phoronix deep freeze on them, which, if that weren't enough of a headache, on top of that, for usage registration / tracking and all this kind of stuff, we have a product called Cassie, which is a library specific product. And between the two, they don't always play nice together, and it does cause some aggravating issues with trying to run Windows updates. So theoretically, deep freeze should be thawing or taking them out of the frozen state every Wednesday in the wee hours of the morning, and having those machines do Windows updates and having them open so that the virus definitions can be updated. And as Microsoft has updated Windows, there have been increasing issues with that all working the way it's supposed to. So usually after Patch Tuesday, I am going around, logging into each computer individually, and forcing it to do updates, because as they sit, when they're turned on, the Windows Update service is disabled by deep freeze. And it just makes things more difficult than they have to be. So thankfully, I can sit down, you launch a PowerShell as administrator, you run services.msc, re-enable the Windows Update service, check for updates, and then you can start the process. And while it's doing updates, then you can have the virus definitions pushed to the machine. And, generally within a couple of hours for each machine, I can have them done. Thankfully, I can do other things and just put an out of order sign on the machines while they're being updated, because if I had to sit and babysit those machines for 2 hours, I would pull out what little hair I've got remaining. I am still working with the infrastructure left behind from the previous person. I had big changes planned for last year. In January 2020, I sort of had a vision for how I wanted to do some things. And then, our wonderful global pandemic hit and flushed all those plans, made them completely useless. And so I have basically come to the conclusion that once we're past COVID, I will be going back and creating a master image for the public machines. A very slim image of Windows 10 for the public machines. And excuse me, once they're all installed and reconnected to deep freeze and Cassie and all that kind of thing, I'll be able to update things with Chocolatey and just make things a little bit more streamlined for installing new software. So, right now I've got traffic monitored mainly through the firewall. I have experimented with a few different network monitoring solutions. I don't have anything permanent in place. All the solutions that I've looked at have been open source and just trying to streamline this whole procedure. So let's see. Linus Tech Tips is giving Smart Deploy for free for up to 15 machines. Lets you roll updates, deploy updates, take snapshots, and so on. So I'd have to take a couple of the machines I've got in storage and maybe experiment with it on those because I have a suspicion that Smart Deploy may not play nicely with Deep Freeze and Cassie. It seems like a lot of this type of software, it has conflicts and it just, things don't always operate the way they're supposed to, the way they're advertised to. So okay, so let's jump back to dashboard. I'm not sure this, I think that's the same list, and I told it to update once and it didn't. Okay, no updates. Some packages require a reboot to be applied. Okay, fine. We can do that. Reboot. Let this sit for a minute and maybe it will decide to play nice and actually reboot this time. Let's take a look at Smart Deploy. Seems like I did experiment with this on my own at one point, and it seems like the one turnoff I had for Smart Deploy, if I remember correctly, was that their salespeople were just relentless. So I don't know. I might have that confused with something else. Windows migration, updates, PC break fix, endpoint recovery. It's like SCCM, just easier. So yeah, I'll definitely consider looking at this in a little bit further detail and see what I might be able to do with this. Because we've only got, when we're at full operating capacity, we've only got 10 public 10 public facing machines for the library patrons to use. So if it's free for 15 PCs, that would be perfect, and would do everything the library needs it to do currently. It's just if we ever get our building remodeled and have additional PCs, then we'd be kind of in a pickle. As well, if I use those for the staff PCs, we would go past that. All right. So we have the Zentyal server up and running. IP address is 130. Let's see. All right. So let's look at users and computers. Manage. And so our domain is Zentyal -domain .lan. We don't have any computers, groups, and we've got one domain controller. So that's all good. So see if I can remember how to join a Windows 10 machine to the domain, because it's been a hot minute since I had to do this. Okay, let's try home. I believe that's under system. Yeah, I don't do this on a daily basis. So, let's see. See, organization or work group. Seems like a good place to go. Enroll only in device management. Can't be that far off. Okay. Do it the old school way. All right. And system. Change settings. Okay. Member of. Oops. Excuse me. So we change the DNS to the domain controller. Oh. Full computer name. If Zentyal can do DHCP, would you rather assign DHCP reservation in your router and then give an IP from the reservation to Zentyal and the rest of the machines, or have it all in a VLAN? Ideally, I would like to move this to a VLAN. For the demo purposes, I'm not going to. So let's do this. So rename computer. Oh, I hit the wrong option. There we go. On a business network, My company uses a network with a domain. Next. Username. Domain name is next. Could not be contacted. Okay. So dun, 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 dun. Okay, so we can see that. So I'm back to settings. We want internet network, connection properties. Adapter options. Okay. That's better. So we want DNS that. And takes me back a little ways. Okay, so that might get us a little closer. Okay, there we go. Type the username and password of the account with permission to join the domain. Username or password is incorrect. Excuse me. Let's jump back over here. Domain admins. So let's see. Okay, so let's come here. Manage users. That's for deleting. So we've got administrator. Let's do that. And then if we jump back to Windows 10, okay. So First name is empty. All right, let's come back to dashboard. Let's make sure that I'm not missing something obvious here. That could very well be. Domain admins. Right-clicking does not allow you to add it. Sharing options, sharing directory. Okay, so manage service accounts. Users. I would think that should be popping up. Okay, user administrator. We'll do it this way. So why user group domain admins and schema admins. Okay, now let's try this again and look at that username. You want to enable a domain user account for this on this computer. Yes. Next. And we'll make that a standard account. The user does not exist. Okay. Okay, so it didn't create a user account. That's fine. Changes will take effect after you restart the computer. Restart now. So we have joined the Windows 10 machine to the Samba Active Directory provided by Zentyal. This is just the basic demonstration, basic procedure. You know, I would absolutely want a different IP range for this. So this is showing that it's going to sign into the Microsoft Edge Windows 10. So we actually want it to sign into zentyaldomain.lan with that password. So that should be the administrator from the Zentyal server. I'm going to reload this. And so I'm going to make Not sure why it doesn't give it option to add users here. Oh, down here at the bottom. Hey, right in front of my nose. And group. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so users. We go in and edit that user. We can add it to either domain admins or schema admins, which I don't want to do right now. And I am just going to call this general users and add that account to this group. This group does not have members. Okay. So anyways, we come back to the Windows 10 machine. So we are currently logged in as the administrator. And if we sign this user out, so we can do other user and do essential domain j Leik, and that should sign me in with that after it goes through the craziness that Windows forces you to go through. Hello, Medvarsen. And I'm probably butchering that, but hello, Norway. Great to have you joining today. Now I can check Norway off my list of countries that have joined my live stream or left comments. The list is getting smaller every time I go live, it seems like. So welcome, glad to have you here. Just to catch you up, we have done an install of Zentyal in VirtualBox. We're using the Windows 10 Microsoft Edge virtual machine provided by Microsoft. They mean to use it to have people use it for testing websites in Microsoft Edge. But it does give you a fully licensed version of Windows 10 for 90 days, after which the virtual machine expires. So I have used it for demonstrations like this in the past, and I have also promoted it to my previous students and people that have come by my channel wanting different information. And you know, it's one of those things that's good to know that it's out there. However, I will say that the version of Windows as it ships is on the old side. I believe this is Windows version 1809, which is past the expiration date, because even 1909 is no longer supported. And you know, I don't want to make this a big deal about Windows, because that's not what the spirit of my channel is about. Mainly, I do Linux stuff here. And that's why I don't have extra Windows licenses hanging around, and I use things like this to do demonstrations. So, obviously, I think everybody here knows that if you want to do a domain and you want to join a Windows 10 PC to a domain, you have to have Windows 10 Pro or Enterprise in order to make that work. And so, the idea here, and I probably only have Edge on here, which stinks, but I will suffer through using Edge. The idea here is that you can download the Remote Server Administration Tool, or RSAT, direct from Microsoft, install it on a Windows 10 machine that you're going to use to manage a Windows server or an Active Directory server, whether it's Windows or whether it's Zentyal running Samba Active Directory. But you can use basically the same tools to administer a lot of things in Zentyal that you would normally use in a pure Windows environment. So, okay. Download locations. Remote Server Administration Tool for Windows 10. So I may do some additional videos now that I've got a working install of Zentyal 7. I may do some additional videos and let's see, we are on 1809. So I'm assuming that 1803 would work on an 1809 system. So okay, so save, open. Good morning, Jacob, or, well, I guess it's afternoon now. And so, if everything goes correctly, yes, okay, that's fine. If everything goes correctly, then we should be able to connect to the Zentyal machine with the RSAT tools and, add users and things from there, right in Windows 10. And if you didn't know otherwise, you would swear that it's a Windows server on the other end. So, excuse me. This always happens about an hour into my live stream. My throat gets tired or dry. So yeah, obviously this is going to take a little while to do the install. So I know a few of you were on earlier and you heard me say it before, but if everybody could take a moment to like the video and consider subscribing to the channel, I would greatly appreciate it. As most of you know, I am primarily making videos to do with Linux. And when the odd video comes through that does feature some Windows, it's usually something like what I'm doing now. I'm mixing the two in a way that there is a component that is Linux based, and it's not just a dime a dozen Windows channel, and a video that's strictly devoted to Windows software. With that being said, I do have one video that I rather regret making, and if it weren't responsible for such a large number of views on my channel, I would probably delete the video. But I had been approached to do a review of a piece of software. This was a non-sponsored type situation. I reviewed it, and boom, the video exploded, and it's got nearly 30,000 views. So needless to say, I'm not going to be deleting that video, but I have made very clear in the description of it that this channel is primarily devoted to Linux, and obviously, since it's fun to make a few extra dollars doing YouTube, I'm not going to delete that. I'm going to continue to let the pennies trickle in as residual income on that video, but I will not make a follow-up reviewing newer versions of that. So let's jump back over to the Windows 10 VM, and it looks like our install is complete. Close tabs, that's fine. And so now in our start menu, we should have our RSAT tools. I'm sure they're there. Again, this is something I don't generally use, so if anybody has a friendly suggestion that they're willing to throw out there, I will gladly take it. Maybe I have to be logged in as an administrator in order to do that. Let's sign out this user. So in any event, you're going to have some tools available, and normally I go through and turn some of this garbage off in the Windows 10 So I get rid of the Windows Store. It's File Explorer. I want to get rid of Microsoft's Mail. Okay, that's better. Remote desktop, remote access management. Right. So, like I said, I am not in the habit of setting up Windows environments on a daily basis. So some of this I kind of flub my way through and refer to other documentation and notes that I do not have in front of me right at the moment. So goes from P to S. All right, so get rid of that. In any event, that is kind of the extent of what I wanted the demo to be today. We've got about 15 to 20 minutes left, and I will put myself back on screen. Are there any questions, anything that you would like to see in Zentyal itself? So obviously we've got the computer here. It doesn't give you like a right click option to do anything with it. You know, your users, you can add descriptions. And update those. Users, of course, we've got the administrator user, a user I made for myself, which is currently just a regular user. I could make this an administrator, a domain admin, if I desired to. So I might change this to say my limited account, and then that's updated. Again, domain controllers doesn't give a lot. Let's see. Have you configured the mail server in Zentyal? Curious about anti-spam features. Does it support TKIM, SPF, gray listing, spam assassin, etc.? I have never set up the mail server. I have never actually set up a mail server, period. So, and I don't think I even installed that module. So I can't really speak on that, Chris. I may do a follow-up video that talks about that. I may try to set it up. But yeah, I'm not a email server guru, so I prefer For all the risks that are there, I prefer to leave that in the hands of people that have more experience doing mail servers. So, not even sure. You got to be able to add those things after the fact. I'm not sure though how we would go about doing that. Oh, I see the certification authority has not been created. So may have missed something along the way in my install. Apparently they've got a smart admin that's available only in the commercial version. Zentyal components. So if we were to install, okay, so it's got mail filter, and apparently it can provide webmail directly from Zentyal as well. So I can install those just to see what they look like. And we might have to reboot the server in order to get that to get all those to come up. But we'll see what we can do. Of course, it's requiring 212 packages, so hopefully this moves along fairly decent for us. Certainly faster than your typical Windows updates. So what I can comment on is, something like Zentyal would be great for a small business, for a nonprofit that doesn't necessarily run on-prem endpoint protection antivirus, that doesn't necessarily run custom printing software that requires a real Windows server. There are a couple of things at the library that specifically would not work with Zentyal on the staff side of things. However, I continue to wonder if Zentyal wouldn't be a good solution on the patron side of things. Okay, so let's see what dashboard says. Okay. So as far as mail is concerned, we've got mail modular. Mail module is disabled. Don't forget to enable it in module status section. Otherwise, your changes won't have any effect. So let's go to module status. And we'll enable the mail. Accept. We might have to reboot this yet. Windows updates to serve a special place 6 feet under. I would go further than 6 feet with that. and I would put with Windows updates the person or persons that are responsible for architecting Windows updates. Okay, so we got all those three enabled, save changes. It's going to start the services. And maybe, just maybe, things will come up. Okay, so I definitely could not set up a Windows server this quickly and have it updated. I can honestly say that. Since I'm no longer using SCCM for updating, I removed the SCCM client from the machines. They started grabbing updates automatically from Microsoft. Had to create a group policy to stop this. Yep. I just I don't have any current way to really manage easily the Windows updates at the library. Deep Freeze is supposed to do it, but is not doing it. Maybe that's why my goatee is getting more and more gray every week that passes, every month that passes with Windows updates. Okay. So here's the mail server. Server mail name, postmaster address, maximum mailbox size, expiration period for deleted accounts, period for pulling external mail accounts is 3 minutes. Retrieval services, POP3, POP3 secure, IMAP secure. Manage Civ scripts. Virtual mail domains. Oh, look at that. Active Sync. That's a blast from the past. Active Sync is only recommended for mailboxes of 1 gigabyte of data or less. Using another product for patching and updating. Didn't realize that would happen. See the option for gray listing. That is great. So yeah, gray list. So enable or disable. It's currently disabled. Retry window in hours. Time to live in days. Then it's got the queue management. No messages in queue or the service is stopped. All right. Then for mail filters, we've got SMTP mail filter, antivirus, anti-spam, filter policies, virus policy, drop policy is drop silently, pass, or notify sender server. Spam policy is pass. Currently, notify sender server, notify mail sender account, drop silently. Banned files policy, again, same options, and bad header policy. So virtual domain, specified policies, virus filtering, spam threshold, and then external connections to other mail servers. Then they've got anti-spam configuration, sender policy, and training the spam filter, which I guess that could be interesting. And then attached files filter, file extensions, MIME types, and yeah. Like I said, I've never actually set up a mail server. When I've done websites, I've done the one-click install type of mail server, and maybe played with configuration files a bit. But then I just use either Thunderbird for a fat client or have it all filter into my Gmail account. So gray listing is a great anti-spam mechanism. If email comes from someone never seen before, the server responds with try again later. All right, that makes sense. If the server tries to send the email again, it is allowed, then whitelisted. Most spammers pump and dump. Bayesian filter is basically spam assassin. I suspected as much, but it's good to know. Good to know. So hopefully this look at Zentyal 7 has been helpful. Where are we at? 7.0.34. So yeah, it talks about some update stuff there. Software management, system updates, update list. See if there's any other updates we need to do. But I'm feeling pretty good about this. Of course, there are things that I would change if I were doing this in a production environment. But my desire with this demo was just to get it up and running and get a Windows client joined to it. So yeah, I agree, Chris. It's not bad for an out-of-box solution. Definitely gives people options, non-Microsoft options. Now, you can, if you really want to, you can join Ubuntu machines to a domain. I believe with 21.04, they have a mechanism right in the installer. I'm not 100% sure I have a 21.04 ISO on this machine, though. So, I do. Lubuntu, which would probably work. But since we've already gone for over 90 minutes, that may very well be either next week's demo or it will be a standalone video. So, yes, I'm going to leave everybody on a little bit of a cliffhanger, but since I have not gone through those steps before, I want to have a chance to do that once myself, just for the experience and to see if there are any gotchas. And then hopefully when I sit down to record the video for that'll be released, it will go fairly smooth. So, are there any other questions or comments? I do have, just so you're aware, I do have out on my community tab. I do have on the community tab a poll going on, and looks like maybe 3 people have answered this already. But I have noticed that development of Fog server has slowed down. Thus the reason I have not made another set of videos. So the current most recent version of Fog is 1.5.9, and that was released back in September. So it's now been about 9 months since, or going on 9 months since the release of the last Fog update. So that is a little troubling to me, because I know there are a lot of people out there that really like Fog, myself included. So I was poking around in the announcement, maybe call for engagement. I think it was this one. So from Sebastian, one of the well, he's listed as senior developer. He might be the primary developer. As most of you know, Fog is a community-based project and needs people to thrive. Development has been slowing down a lot over the last year or two, as there are not many developers actively working on it. We try to keep up with fixing bugs and make things work with new hardware and Linux versions coming up, but that's not enough to push things forward much. For personal reasons, I will have even less time to work on Fog and eventually will drop out altogether. There are many different topics to work on: web UI and services in PHP, installer, bash scripts, Fog client, .NET and C#, FOSS kernel, and inits, the compiler, bash scripts, and documentation. So if you enjoy using Fog, you might think about joining in or finding people in your university, business, etc., who are keen to work on this project. Please get in touch with us. So that was 2 weeks ago. So with this in mind, you know, I don't currently have a Fog deployment at work at the library that I'm using. For what I do there, I may very well go with the a combination of Rescuezilla and Clonezilla, and just save the files to either an external hard drive or a NAS box. I have toyed with the idea of standing up a Clonezilla server. I have thought even of doing that here at home just so I could get experience setting it up and potentially do some videos on it. I just am curious what people are thinking. You know, I can, you know, make one last, you know, the final word series on Fog and release on the channel. But I'm not sure at this point with this announcement if it's worth the effort on my part to do so. I do like what they've done with the Fog project over the years, and you know, it is responsible for much of what got me to this point on YouTube where I'm at now. But I don't think it's sustainable over the long term to continue to put in effort to make videos for a project that may not be getting much or any further development. So, you know, with that being said, the funny part is, and if I sort these oldest to newest, the funny part is this very first Fog server video I did 4 years ago still gets between 20 and 50 views every week. So, you know, it's one of those things, again, with, you know, 9,700 and change views. I don't want to take it down. But at the same time, I feel like I've got to start going through my Fog videos and in the descriptions, let people know that it may not be a viable solution going forward. And I hate to say that, but, you know, I've had a run of 4 years making videos on Fog, and so for that, I am thankful to the project and the developers behind the project. And, you know, I would hope that somebody steps in to maybe push it forward. But I'd been noticing that it's been, you know, slow to see updates. You know, the last year or so, and it's had me thinking all this time, and thus some of the reason that I've delved into things like Proxmox and you know, doing some deeper dives into VirtualBox command line options and things of that nature. So, you know, I guess my ask at this point, you know, my call to action for people that are watching this is, if you head over to my community tab, and I will let's see, I'm on 3 different systems here. I don't know if that'll copy all the way back out. Holy crap, it did. If you can go over to that community tab, which I just pasted the link in, And fill out this most recent poll here. I'm interested in how my community, my subscribers and viewers want to see things go forward. Because doing imaging is one of the big topics on my channel that I keep coming back to. And even if I can't move forward with fog, I would very much like to continue following other projects and hopefully become the go-to channel for these other projects. So, but at this point, I think we're in a good spot to wind down the live stream for the day. It's been an hour and 46 minutes already. Are there any final questions or comments? Let's see. Yeah, I agree, Chris. It's like for instance, another company, well, and granted, Fog's not a company, but a similar situation that has arisen recently is Frisk, the company that made the antivirus FPROT, which is a blast from the past for me because my local community college used that back in the floppy disk era. But they are dropping support for their longest running product as of July 1st. So, yeah. Clonezilla or Rescuezilla pulling the images from a network share will work just fine. Yep. That's kind of what I've been thinking. Have a Pixie server boot a Rescuezilla ISO. Yep. Exactly the kind of thing I've been toying with in my head. I'm just curious what everybody else is thinking. My Pixie layout is a mess. It's an iPixie chain loading and iSCSI boot nightmare. Oh my. Unless Canonical or someone like Seuss picks up Fog, it's possibly about to become dead. What a shame. Yeah, if I had more of a palette for development work, I always thought it would be great to have been able to use an Ansible script to install Fog. I've looked through the code of their shell script that installs it, and it seems like it could be doable. But I don't have the chops in Ansible to do it and do it properly. I guess if I hacked something together, I could put it out there for other people to modify and make it sort of a community thing. But all that does is handle the install script, and there's a lot of other things that I just do not have the experience to develop myself, or else I would have jumped in on the bandwagon for Fog a long time before this. Not sure if this question is directed at me or at Chris or others in the in the chat. My goal for imaging is my goal is mainly on a personal level is mainly handled by Rescuezilla. I do it for backups. I do it for client machines that come in that I want a contingency plan backup image in case I'm trying to clear viruses or anything of the sort and screw up the installed system. If I know I can go back to the exact state that it was in when I started, it puts me much more at ease. As far as a work environment, my goal longer term, once we're past COVID, would be to have an imaging environment where I can push out a thin image of Windows 10 to at least our public facing machines at the library. And again, since we have such a small number of machines, I may very well go the Rescuezilla route with that, or Rescuezilla and a combination of a Pixie server and Clonezilla, and have them all work in conjunction. That's sort of the angle I'm coming from currently. In the past, I have used Fog to image at a previous job. I think it was 250 computers. My class I was teaching pushed out this project for the 4 campuses we had at the time. So that's sort of where I've been, what my current needs are, and what I'd like to do in the future with it. Oops. Come back here. Been introducing Rescuezilla to the IT desktop people since it's easier for them to use than Clonezilla, but I can still create and test same images in Clonezilla. Yeah, I think that's a perfect example use of Rescuezilla. I especially for, more entry-level people and doing something like that, I think that's a great use, and certainly easier than that abomination known as wow. What was it? The Norton product. Yeah, I can't even remember now. Guess I'm getting loopy after almost 2 hours of live stream. So yeah, Ghost. I'd love it if someone made a decent GUI dynamically created by FTP directory structure for iPixie. Yeah, do that with iSCSI and iPixie. Reason I like Clonezilla is I can make an image, then edit it so that it can extract to a smaller or larger drive perfectly. Rescuezilla doesn't have those options yet that Clonezilla has. Yep, you got it. Ghost is what I was thinking of. And Chris says it's dead. Only supported DOS and Windows. Right. Yeah, and that's why I gravitate towards Rescuezilla, because I can use that on a Windows, Linux, BSD, Mac OS, React OS, which is a Windows clone, whatever, because it does a lower level disk copy. So All right, an hour and 55 minutes. I think this is where we will call it. Thank you all for coming out today. Thank you for the lively chat. And if I refresh, we got any more hits in our little poll? Aha! Thank you for filling out my little poll. I appreciate it. It's nice to get a little more interaction with the community tab. I try to at least do announcements in the community tab. My polls, they don't always do that great. Hopefully, as the channel continues to grow, things will get better for the polls and generate more answers and more usable data for me. So, yeah, I think that's where I'll leave it. Everybody have a wonderful remainder of your day. I appreciate all of you. Stay safe. Follow whatever directives are in place in your part of the world. And, hopefully by the fall, we will be mostly past this. And certainly by this time next year, we should be able to be approaching normal again. So I appreciate all of you, and spread the word in Norway if people are around and they are into tech and they speak English. I don't speak any other language, so I can't help there. But feel free to send them my way. I'd be happy to have them. So, all right, everybody have a great afternoon and a great week, and I will see you in the next video.